You have lived your whole life learning about mermaids and aliens, but little did you know they're one and the same. We have found convincing evidence that proves that the mermaids that are living in our seas once came from the stars above our heads. This video is not created to convince you that mermaids are real or that aliens are real. They have already been proven to be real by multiple sources. So if you believe that they're real, great. If you don't, I'd encourage you to open your mind to the possibility that they are. The proof in this video clearly demonstrates that they are not only real, but that mermaids and aliens are actually the same thing.
Have you ever asked yourself, what is an alien? The most common definition of an alien is generally known as a being from outer space with a body that is humanoid in form, as well as intelligence.
We generally think of aliens as being little green men who look human-like, but who clearly aren't of this Earth. Mermaids fit that description exactly. They look almost human, but with the lower half of their body looking like a fish, hence the word humanoid.
Everyone assumes half human, half fish, that the fish half is the bottom half, but have you ever thought top half fish? Side half fish? Inside fish? I mean, what happens when you eat fish? You raise the amount of fish inside you. Imagine 100%. You got fish in there. It's all fish inside. I could be a mermaid right now, you wouldn't even know.
The big question is, where do mermaids come from? We have found evidence that mermaids are from a planet outside of our solar system that is made up of only water, where they lived for millions of years.
But after this millions of years, the greenhouse effect was evaporating their planet and turning it from a liquid planet into a gas planet. So they had to figure out how to escape their dying world and come to Earth.
They sent escape pods to Earth, landed the pods in the ocean, and have been living here ever since.
However, mermaids aren't the only aliens from that planet.
Octopuses have 3 hearts, blue blood, they shoot ink, they're masters of camouflage, they're just as intelligent as a cat or a dog, and they retain complex memories that allow them to navigate mazes and solve puzzles. Octopuses are basically to mermaids what dogs are to us. They're pets.
Have we seriously been conditioned our whole lives to believe that octopuses are not from another world?
These are the most alien-like creatures on Earth. But we see them and we don't even consider the possibility that they're aliens. Humans need to wake up.
If we had to escape to another planet, of course we would bring our pets with us.
As humans, we have the intelligence to hide from the native species of that planet, which is what mermaids are doing on our planet. But if we brought our dogs to another planet, do you think they would be smart enough to hide, really? No, they would go and play fetch with the Martians. Octopuses are the same way.
Aside from being hyper intelligent, they're really strong. They're just very capable animals. It seems very possible that they might be like biotech. They might actually be controlled by mermaids, or maybe they're artificially intelligent. They just got perfect, soft, pliable, robotic bodies.
I think it's absolutely possible that octopuses are a form of technology, a form of biological technology that were created or bred specifically by the mermaids so that they could use them as tools, as drones, as even defense, as weapons, as guard dogs.
You just look at an octopus, and if it sees you looking at it, it might change colors, right? It might just, and it's a different color. And if that's not enough, it's gonna go, oh dang, and it'll just go. And it's got a different texture too. It's like, oh, I'm not an octopus, I'm coral. And it's just watching you. It has its little like. And then if they don't like it, if you don't buy the coral thing, they're like, ink. And they just, they're jet propelled, by the way. Also, did you know that squid, which are probably related to octopus, there is a species of squid that uses water and jet propulsion to fly. It actually flies through the air with jet propulsion. It's the only jet-propelled flight on the whole planet. There's actually jet-propelled flying squid. And they probably were the ones that were around toward the end of that planet's life when they were running out of water. They had to fly.
I can't believe we have something as strange and as bizarre as the octopus on our planet, and people still think it's an animal. Name one other animal that has 8 appendages. There's no reason anything would need 8 legs on this planet. I have no idea why they would need it on another planet, but the things that they can do, they can squeeze through tiny holes, they play games. I've heard of them wearing shells as hats. I mean, that's some seriously alien behavior. If you see somebody wearing a shell as a hat, you know they're an alien.
A couple years ago, the Seattle Aquarium decided to put an octopus in the same tank as sharks. After a while, people started to notice that something strange was going on. The sharks in the tank started disappearing. Scientists decided to set up a camera overnight to observe what was happening, and they realized that the octopus was attacking and eating the sharks.
For the longest time, we thought that sharks were the animals that were at the top of the food chain in our oceans. Well, that could have been true until creatures from another planet took over. So then this begs the question, are there other aliens from that planet as well? We know more about the surface of the moon than we know about our own oceans. We are discovering new species of fish every single day. Have you seen some of the creatures that we have found living in our oceans? You look at these pictures and tell me that none of these species are from another planet.
There are extremely bizarre fish at the bottom of the ocean. Blobfish, anglerfish, teethy, lot of teeth fish. I'm convinced that the mermaids have been conducting experiments on our fish, mutating them into bizarre forms to make them feel more comfortable, feel like their own planet. The fish at the top of the ocean don't look like that. They look like fish. We all know what fish looks like. At the bottom of the ocean, there is some stuff going on down there.
Gulper eels, freaky. Those things are weird. All the bioluminescence that happens down in the bottom of the ocean, it only makes sense for that to come from a planet where there is no land, where there's nowhere for the light to hit, and that most of the planet is down below the twilight zone. And of course there's gonna be bioluminescence on a planet like that. I'm sure they brought it with them. And it's probably adapted and evolved since then, but any of that stuff is clearly alien.
So many people wonder why mermaids are hiding, but the truth of it is that if we were an alien that came to another planet, we would be hiding too.
Humans are savage. If mermaids came out of hiding, we would lock them away and conduct experiments on them. We are scared of what we don't understand, and mermaids know that, so they keep to themselves.
I think that they hide nowadays so much more because they're not ready for an all-out confrontation with us. In the past, it was okay if they were seen by humans because they would be crazy sailors coming back after this journey, but nowadays we have photography, we have videography, we have choreography, things that would irrefutably prove that these beings are on our planet, so they're much more sneaky. They're much more hidden. I don't know what their eventual plan is. I don't know if they see us as potential slaves. They want to enslave us. They want to use us as a future food source, as air gardeners, to create vegetable gardens, to feed their octopus pets. Not sure. Not sure what we're here for or what their plans for us are, but they're not gonna win because we're getting the truth out there. Because every single person who realizes that mermaids are aliens is one other person in the human army.
People want to assign big natural disasters to things automatically, or big ecological disasters. And when they look at oil spills, there's some people who are on either side of the boat. And I think it kind of depends on the oil spill. Some of them may be the mermaids trying to get some resources. Some of them may be a secret warfare on the mermaids' environment. The government trying to push the mermaids back as they're encroaching in the Gulf of Mexico or some of the other places where they don't want them.
No human in their right mind would create any sort of situation in which you could actually spill oil into the ocean. You would have to be an absolute ignoramus to create something that could, break like that. It has to be the mermaids that are behind it.
As a kid, I had a pet goldfish. His name is Frank. He was beautiful. The way that his scales had this iridescence when the sun was coming through during sunset, shined right on him, and it was dazzling. And I remember one time I was walking through my room, walking past his tank, and he was just looking at me. And as I was walking, with each step, I started to feel bad because I felt like I was showing off because I had legs, And I was like, man, poor guy. And I realized, you know what? Maybe he's not bound because he doesn't have human legs. Maybe he's free. And the only reason he's bound is because I have him in this tank. And it was only a matter of days. I couldn't bear it anymore. And I realized he needs to be free. He needs to be in the ocean. So we lived kind of close to the ocean. And I I chucked the bowl right out the window. I threw it as hard as I could, and I just screamed. I was like, Frank! I threw him out the window, and I think he made it. I just can't help but think that those mermaids probably are dazzled by his scales too, and just taking care of him to this day.
Did you know that the majority of UFO sightings are seen over the ocean? Mermaids only bring their UFOs over land occasionally to see what's happening on the surface. But most of the time they stay over the oceans where they're safe.
I see UFOs about once every 2 weeks. It's extremely common for me. When you actually know what you're looking for, they're all over. People don't look at the sky anymore. You know, they're looking down at their phones, they're walking around. I look at the sky every day. Every day I go outside, I look at the sky. I've ran into potholes, trees, I've stepped on a cat, but I saw a UFO. Most of the UFOs are over water, but that's how they come in and monitor us. Because water from beneath, UFOs from above, we're right in the middle. I'm not fully convinced that the mermaids are in the UFOs themselves, but I did see a UFO one time when I was out at night by myself, and it had tentacles. I swear. These mermaids are sending their drones up into the air in the place that we would least expect them to spy down on us all the time. They're hiding at the bottom of the ocean. Never saw that coming.
If mermaids are advanced enough to do interplanetary travel, imagine the technology they have to be able to hide from us. They may have invisibility shields that are hiding whole cities when we only see water.
I think that mermaids could have technology unlike anything we've ever had here on Earth. They're traveling distances between stars. They might have teleportation technology. They might be able to slip between dimensions. Could be stuff that we couldn't even fathom.
Any technology that we could imagine, any technology that we've achieved, it's probably in the ocean. And it was probably in the ocean before it was on land.
When you think about the paranormal in general, this could be UFOs, apparitions, creature sightings, things that we don't quite understand, things that seem mystical or magical to us. We call them paranormal. They could just be examples of super heightened technology that we just don't have a frame of reference for. If you think about technology from our day being given to someone who's centuries behind us technologically, they wouldn't know what to make of it. And similarly, we might be seeing things like UFOs and apparitions and wanting to assign a supernatural cause to them. They might really just be high technology.
I think that the possibility that the mermaids are even more advanced than humans isn't just possible, I think it's a fact at this point. I mean, how do you get from another planet without having that technology? How do you support an entire society where you are half human and half fish? We're just fully human. To just be a half creature like that, you would have to have technologies beyond our understanding. I think that those technologies absolutely would lead to them conquering the globe, and we wouldn't even know about it. You know, people talk about the Loch Ness Monster and how the Loch Ness Monster, they go in submarines, they scuba dive, they can't find it anywhere, but people see it hundreds of times every year. It's portaling. It's connected to the mermaids. It's biotechnology, just like the octopuses. They're using it, maybe even as a distraction so that we don't see them. Every single body of water is potentially suspicious. I don't even drink water anymore. I can't take the risk.
In 1982, 7 Russian divers went diving deep in Lake Baikal, which is the oldest and deepest freshwater lake in the world. Been around the longest, about 30 million years. So if you were a water-faring species that came from a water planet and you came to Earth, you'd probably wind up in Lake Baikal, no matter when it was. These 7 Russian divers went diving deep in Lake Baikal, and they came across 5 humanoid creatures in the water. As they approached them, they weren't interacting with them, but as the humans began to approach, one of the beings reached out and touched the human, and it sent him straight to the surface. And he actually got the bends from what happened. He was forced to the surface rapidly. It very well could be something related to the mermaid species that came to Earth all that time ago. And whether the pulse that sent him up to the surface was technological or if that's some ability of their species, I don't know, but certainly is fishy.
Atlantis was said to be an ancient city with even more advanced technology than what we have today. But it's possible that everything that we have learned about the city of Atlantis could be wrong. It's very possible that Atlantis was a city that the mermaids sunk so that they could live there. If you saw a city in the ocean, you would automatically assume that it was a city that was sunk by an earthquake. But what if mermaids were able to use their technology to sink the most advanced city at the time and then took advantage of that technology?
I've studied Atlantis my entire life. Ever since I was a child, I've been at the forefront of Atlantean scholarship, and my theory is that Atlantis was an advanced civilization, and it was so advanced that it knew about the mermaids, and it knew where they came from. I think that they knew how to beat them. I think that's what Atlantis discovered. I think Atlantis held the secret to conquering the mermaids and keeping the planet safe from them, and that's why they sunk it, so that they could take control and hide those secrets for all of human history. That's why we are going to find Atlantis, raise it back up, uncover its secrets, and use the power of its crystals to engage in battle and defeat and erase the mermaid threat from our planet, or something. I'm still trying to convince people.
People think of the example of Wakanda as something that could only come from a movie, but what if there's a city that exists out there that has more advanced technology than we can even imagine? And the only reason why we haven't been able to find it is because we didn't even begin to think that it might be in the ocean. That is the perfect hiding place for an advanced civilization.
In a world that we have airplanes, trains, cars, buses, we've been on the moon, spaceships, yet what about the underwater buses? What about the underwater planes? What about the underwater cities? All of this technological advancement that should have been part of human history and isn't. We're supposed to believe that all of our technology is land-based just because. The reason is because the people in our government know of the mermaid threat. They know how difficult it would be to develop technology underwater. I'm convinced about 85% of the members of Congress are mer people themselves.
So a lot of people are familiar with the reptilian hypothesis, which is basically that a reptilian alien species is running all the world's governments from the shadows. They're the people in positions of power and making the calls in our world. Reptilian species aren't like all that dissimilar from fish species. They're scaly and all that. I do think that it could just be a mistake for a mermaid species that is actually running our governments from the shadows, controlling all the important calls.
I think they're in the government. I think they're in the rivers. I think they're in the ponds. If there's a body of water, you don't know. Maybe the mermaids are big at the bottom of the ocean. Maybe they're small in ponds. We just don't know yet. We haven't done the research.
I think it's very possible that global warming is being catalyzed by mermaids, because if their planet was totally covered in water and they came to inhabit another planet, they'd probably want most or all of the surface to be covered in water.
I think you could probably find mermaids that would be more sympathetic to humanity, that would view us as kind of like an indigenous tribe of the planet and try to protect us. But I bet there are other mermaids that would like to see us extinct, I'm sure.
People talk about, are the mermaids a threat? Are they friendly? I don't feel like I necessarily have a place to just make the assumption. From here, who knows? If my planet got evaporated, I don't know what kind of mood I'd be in.
I think that mermaids are indifferent toward us. I don't think that they're benevolent or that they're necessarily an intentional threat. I think they're first and foremost going to look out for themselves, and if they don't have to harm us to live well, then I don't think they will.
I can't say who among those mermaids has most sway in their society or makes the most decisions. We don't know how much danger we are in at the moment because we have not contacted these mermaids, but I hope that there are some that will be sympathetic to our causes.
What most people don't realize is that more than 80% of our ocean is unmapped, unobserved, and unexplored. People are looking to the stars for aliens, when in reality, we should be looking to the seas.